welcome to episode 237 of the Campus Comics Cast, as we, much to my dismay, go full anthropomorphic in this episode. This is Scott Reed, and I'm joined by
Mike Atchison.
And Mike, if you're going to be anthropomorphized as an animal, what animal would you choose to be anthropomorphized? And I'm trying to say that as frequently as I can, just to give you a little bit more time to think about the answer to that question.
I think I'm going to go with an animal that has something that a human can't do, and that is fly. So I'm going to go with an eagle. How about that?
All right, so there you go. That was actually one of my first choices as well. I'm going to go with a dolphin, and I don't know why. But to be honest, I should, because as I've become an old person, I've started watching a lot of birds. So, and like one of my favorite birds to watch at the bird feeders is the white-breasted nuthatch, because he can go down the pole upside down, and I just think it's cool looking. So maybe that's what I should choose. But I did have eagle was in my short list as well. So
okay. I mean, the downside is they don't live as long.
Yeah.
You could go the other end of the spectrum and be a tortoise, but who wants to be a giant,
slow-moving,
Galapagos, slow-moving tortoise? I think that's a good happy medium. Eagle's pretty cool.
There you go. Yeah. Well, obviously with it being anthropomorphized, it doesn't really matter the age because it can just be whatever you want, lengthwise. So
yeah.
Fine. All right. So, but anyway, so what we have this episode? Well, we're going to talk about the first 5 appearances of one Tank Girl, and then we're going to discuss the first 2 issues of the Rick Remender series, Escape. So, Mike, you got anything you want to throw in before we start talking about Tank Girl?
No, I think this is going to be somewhat of a unique
Yeah.
first 5, I'd say.
Yeah.
Never know what you're going to get.
I guess we could quote old Forrest Gump here on this one, couldn't we? So
Life's a box of chocolates.
Yep. All right. So anyway, Tank Girl, first appearance was what? Deadline issue number 1. And then I forgot the subsequent Deadline issues after that.
I got it listed.
Okay.
And it's 2 after 1. It's 2, 3, 5, and 7.
2, 3, 5, and 7. Okay, and these, of course, were reprinted in the the Deadline, the Tank Girl trade. I think it was actually from Titan that released this.
Yeah,
there's
There's been a variety. I've got the 30th anniversary, which came out in 2018, and it's just, I don't have the hard copy. I just got it on Kindle.
Yeah, I because the first issues, can be in the hundreds of dollar range, for this particular character, especially specifically the Deadline number 1. So created, looks like it was. I only ever saw Jamie Hewlett as the creator. Now here on the first page it says Jamie Hewlett and Alan Martin. And it's a mixed punk aesthetic with Looney Tunes style adventures, which I guess would be a fairly accurate description to this.
Yeah, the punk definitely comes through quite. Even Arnakic or Arnat. How do you say? My description I found was, what is even the word? Anarchy, but it's the adjective anarchic.
Okay.
So, in other words, it's like everything goes.
Yeah.
Counterculture for the 90s, foul-mouthed. Here's the crazy part. Dates a mutant kangaroo. Yeah. Every rule is broken.
Oh, yeah. Then that's where we get into some of the anthropomorphics that we're featuring in this episode, because that was kind of unexpected for me. I did not realize that Tank Girl was in an anthropomorphic world. At least with kangaroos. Right. I don't know if they had any other animals other than the kangaroo, but yeah, at least you got the kangaroos down under. So, Mike, do you remember your first introduction to this character?
I'd say it was the movie in 1990s. Was it 95?
1995, yes.
Yeah, I don't remember any. I just know of this character. I don't know anything. I didn't know anything more. I never seen the movie, so That's the best I can do.
When the movie came out, and I was certain that I had heard of the character before. Now, to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time I've actually read any Tank Girl. But I so probably what I am assuming is that I saw a house ad in an issue of Dark Horse Presents that I had read probably for the Aliens and Predator stories in those series. And that's probably where I was first introduced to this character. Because again, it wasn't a surprise. The name Tank Girl wasn't like I knew it, whatever the movie came out, but I can't really put a bead on where I first saw the character. So I'm guessing that it was just an
Yeah.
ad in like something like Dark Horse Presents.
It didn't really do that well, from what I can tell. It
The
was kind
movie,
of a
or
flop
yeah, oh yeah,
financially. Yeah, yeah. But it does. I know I've seen a Tank Girl at cosplay, and from what I've researched, that it is still sort of a favorite for cosplayers.
okay. Probably got the whole missile thing going on. Is probably part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the missile
Yes,
bosom.
there you go. That's probably a better way to say it. So, all right. So, what are your thoughts on these first 5 issues of Tank Girl? What do you think about Tank Girl?
Uh, I mean, when I was going through the first issue, it's a short. There are a lot of short
Uh-huh.
stories. They're not really more than 8 or 10 pages long, but it's absurd, outlandish stuff. It was. I mean, after a point, I'm like, okay, they're purposely making it messy and unpredictable. Maybe like a pushback against whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, a modern day underground comic,
Yep.
a modern day for the '90s or late '80s or whatever. Um,
A little counterculture stuff
and
going on.
yeah, yeah, and the degree of detail and pseudo messiness in these panels, it was almost at times like a Where's Waldo. I mean, there was just so much going on. You were like, oh, look at that, look at that. It was kind of cool to see that much art in one panel or something. But again, it's like mixing Sinead O'Connor with Mad Max with and then just make it very punkish.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was my and very girl power too. I mean, it definitely. I think it appealed to girls that wanted that kind of thing in their life.
Well, this comic has one of the problems that and this is just kind of me wash, rinsing, and repeating some of the things that I say. I feel like multiple times on episodes, but I don't feel like this is a character you can root for. She's way too obnoxious. And we
Yeah.
kind of get that in that very first issue where, okay, so she's apparently a hired assassin, okay,
Hmm.
and she goes out to kill a kangaroo, and while she's trying to kill this kangaroo, the kangaroos are going into this party, and she drives in with her tank and kills 2 of the 3 kangaroos, but all but one person that's a part of the party who has nothing to do with whatever's going on. And she's like, it doesn't matter, It's just like she's not a good person. I don't know. I don't know
No,
how else to say it other than she's not a good person.
no, but her carefree recklessness is meant to appeal to certain people, I think, and
And I am
there
not
had to
one of
be.
those people, apparently. Yeah.
No, I am not either. I'm just saying for this to be a character that has ascended to the levels that she has, which isn't like super high,
No.
but it's still persevered to the modern day,
Hmm.
then something there must have been an audience for her. You know, there's yeah. So
And I've already mentioned I'm not a fan of anthropomorphic comics, and kind of we get that, what first page we've got
yeah,
kangaroos, and it's like, oh great, so yeah, so I'm immediately dropping this thing down because it's just like, yeah, this is just not for me.
oh yeah, right. We'll get to that question, I'm sure, at the
Oh
end.
yeah, so all right, so what do you think? What do we get about the character's origin here in these first 5 issues? So, what were anything that you noticed about the origin?
Uh, Not much. Really wasn't an origin except you knew what that her she went by the moniker Tank Girl. No real name given at that point. She drives a tank that she lives in apparently, and there's this mysterious organization that she used to work for or does work for, and then it kind of goes off and on.
Right.
She's a bit of an outlaw, but no origin per se.
The only thing that I remember we got is in the third issue, where there's that sergeant who's apparently the one who trained her, at least partially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we know that she does have some military training, but that is pretty much about it as far as origins go. You know, she's in Australia. She was trained by the military, and she drives a tank. So
Yeah.
and apparently she likes guns a lot. Or any type of weapon.
Yeah.
I guess it's not even just guns, because like some of the weapons that she had did odd things.
Yeah.
I guess that's a polite way to put it. So
Yeah, that's one of my talking points, or my what do you want to bring up about these issues, Mike?
There you
That's
go.
one that I have. Yeah.
so there's not really much to say about powers either, just because she appears to just be a regular person,
Yeah.
who has some military training. And of course, I guess we need to be careful about future first fives, because this is two in a row where we've just have done a non-powered character at Punisher last time, and now and now Tank
Sure.
Girl. So how do we need to think about that a little bit more, just so we don't have to say there aren't any
No
powers.
powers.
Yeah,
I
no
mean, just
powers at all,
skills.
so.
I mean, dirty fighter. Can improvise well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all you can really say about it. That she has this knack for survival.
A little bit of fourth wall breaking, kind of hints at knowing that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
in a comic book, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't come out and flat say it, kind of like what we got in like some of the John Byrne She-Hulk books. So
Yeah. I think that was like, I can't remember. It was like the last page of one of the issues. Oh, it was the first issue. Yeah. Where she says, what is it?
it's like almost like I'm in a comic book or something. I thought it was what it was, something along that
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah. I mean, I can't find it whenever I want it.
And there's
but
not that many pages.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that hard to find. I'm still
Yeah.
on the second
Yeah.
issue here. Trying to scroll back to the first issue and see if I can find it. But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. It's the very last panel. She is saying, take a tip. She's talking to the reader. Take a tip from me. If you're a tank pilot, stick by your profession. Don't get greedy and take up a bounty on anyone's head, especially if he's a kangaroo. When it comes to the crunch, it'll really be hard to pull the trigger on the horny devils. What? It's just, yeah. If you want some mayhem, I guess this would be something you'd be like, oh, this is hilarious and great. But yeah, it's just kind of amusing to me.
There was a book in last month's pre-orders catalog that I mentioned, and I want to say it was like an Oni Press book, and it what I gathered from the solicit was that it was kind of like this over-the-top violent story, and I kind of feel like that this isn't quite to that level, but it's kind of similar in that thing. It's just like it's more about the violence and the attitude than it is about any real storytelling, So
Right.
so I guess this is going to be a fairly quick question. How closely does this version of the character match what we see in comics today? What's the same? What's different? Do you have any idea, Mike?
I haven't read anything from today, but I had to research the internet, and I mean, apparently, she's pretty much the same. The only thing that might have changed is that the stories are a little bit more accessible to new readers and have actual plots. It's not as random, and that's all I could find that was different. Otherwise, it's chaotic. It's punk influenced. Yeah.
As I was reading this, if this had been in an issue of like 2000 AD, it wouldn't have surprised me at all. Or Epic Illustrated, or any of those anthology type magazines. And maybe that's what they were going for with Deadline. because they do
Yeah,
on the.
it was a UK magazine, so
Was it? Is it a
yeah.
UK magazine?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that makes sense. I thought with the focus on Australia that the creators maybe were Australian.
Yeah, yeah. The setting here was Australia, but from what I could tell, it's a UK magazine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm the same way. I haven't read any Tank Girl. This is the only Tank Girl that I've read, so I have no idea if anything has changed, and I didn't care enough to do any additional research either. So, all right. So, Mike, are there any moments? This is the I guess the potentially the best part. Any moments that you want to call out, call any special attention to in these stories? So.
Well, I started making note of all the weird things that I didn't understand, and I thought, well, there's too many of those to write down. So I'm just going to start and stop with the lightning bolts over the kangaroos' heads in the first issue. I could not figure out what that meant. And then I got to thinking, oh, I think it's signifying loud music. And then there was a panel where she kind of says, or maybe it was just a narration box that shake your tank thing to the tune, or to the in your head you could hear, shake your groove thing. I thought that was kind of funny. And that old man that says, yeah, I know where the kangaroo, there was one kangaroo that survived her onslaught, and he took off and he pointed the way, and she was like, all right, I'm on to it. I'm going to get him. And she takes off and runs over
Oh
the old
yeah,
man.
the one survivor of the people who are supposed to be uninvolved. Yeah, she
Yeah.
wants to be complete.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
yeah,
anyway, then I mean that it is on that. It's the second panel of the last page where she's looking for this kangaroo that got away. She says he had just got the panel previous. The kangaroo says, if I climb, she won't be able to follow me in that tank, pant. And then in the next panel, she says, he's right. I'll have to follow on foot.
oh there it is. Yeah.
On foot. Geez, how come I can hear everything he's saying? Must be something to do with comics and all that crap. So, yeah, definitely fourth wall.
Oh yeah. Now there's one thing that I want to say. If you're a person who is easily triggered, then this is definitely not the book for you. It uses and some old school language for what is now considered a derogative term, when it meant something else, and of course there's suicide in some of the stories. So take that under consideration if you're listening to this and thinking about picking this up. If you have those types of triggers, then it's definitely something that you'll want to avoid.
Yeah, or if you're just kind of like turned off by it, it's it's just I definitely for certain tastes.
Oh yeah. What else you got as far as moments that you want to call attention to?
Well, she's got a koala sidekick that I didn't notice the first issue. Maybe it wasn't even in the first issue.
I don't think it was in the first issue. I think that came later on. So I'll flip through here.
He likes to say yowza. Yeah. There was one thing, Scott, that she called someone a crim. And I know from firsthand experience that crim is an Australian slang term for criminal, like when we in America say crook.
Okay, well that's what I would assume, So
yeah, it's pretty on the nose,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just that just like, oh yeah, I've heard people say that down there. Yeah, being in the in the business I'm in, sort of.
You've actually been down under, so did this in any way accurately reflect your time that you spent in Australia?
No, I didn't see anyone that acted in such a way, and I didn't see any. I did see kangaroos in the wild, but none of them could talk, and none of them shot guns at me.
Well, that's probably for the best then. So
that then on page or issue 3 is where you get the gun that increases the size of what's the word, testicles?
There you go. Yeah.
10,000%, and the whole issue was that it accidentally shot a plane, a jet plane, in the sky, causing the jet pilot to not be able to control.
He couldn't reach the controls anymore because there was something in the
way. Exactly. So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that last. It's the end of chapter 3. There's. It's sort of sacrilegious to in some ways because it I don't know. It just has a representation of some religious stuff that isn't great.
Yeah.
And anyway, um, what is it? In issue 4, you have that's where that dream of the sergeant that was introduced in 3, I guess,
Oh, maybe it
had a
was
dream.
4 that he was introduced. So yeah.
Okay, but this is where he had this dream where
Mhm.
she has the missile
Mhm.
bosoms and or bosom, and it it's I was like, okay, now they've really gone too crazy here. And then I see it's a dream.
Yep.
And then issue 5 was just one giant boob joke. The whole issue was just one big joke.
Mhm.
You know, so it's a bit shallow. The whole thing.
Yes.
It's I don't know how anyone could probably read this too much of this without being like, okay, I'm totally tired of this. It's too juvenile. This belongs in Mad Magazine. But it is what it is.
Yeah, there just was not anything in here that I got particularly excited about. To me, the most interesting thing was the photograph of Steve Dillon.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm trying to figure out exactly. I guess he would have been maybe the editor. I'm not because I'm looking trying to figure out who was the editor of this issue of Deadline, and he's listed, and then he did draw like a pinup of Tank Girl that we see
Hmm.
here in the series. So I'm just trying to figure out his full involvement. But so he's either just a friend of him or he's the editor at Deadline. So editors,
Yeah.
here it is,
I mean.
editors, Steve Dillon. So there you
Oh.
go. All right,
Okay.
finally found
Okay.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's on page 10 of the digital version.
Yeah.
So and the photos on
It's
page
it's
3. So
yeah. The photos are sort of a plus.
hmm
You get to see what the punk scene in 1980s UK was like.
and
So
then I
everybody smoked.
yeah, and I guess we should mention that this was actually originally in black and white, and then it was colored for this release. So,
Yeah. Yep.
which I,
Yep.
I mean, the art was really. I mean, I did like the art,
Oh
but
yeah, I had no
yeah,
complaints about the art at
yeah,
all.
but the
No.
story is just kind of non-existent and not particularly good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
A little too nonsensical, and it's kind of like, we've done. I mean, between this and Grendel and some of those early '90s, stories that have
Mm-hmm.
characters that have kind of hung around, and man, it's no wonder that the whole comic market just suffered. If this was the top notch stuff at the, I can't even say that, top notch stuff at the time,
Yeah, it
it's just
just the
bad.
sensibilities had to be
Oh yeah,
different.
it's
Yeah.
just bad. So I don't know if it's just people were just looking for absurd.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it was not. It's amazing that comic books survived.
Well,
All right. So, well, do you have
you're
any?
right.
Do you got anything else you want to mention here about Tank Girl?
No, that's all of my
All
talking points.
okay. And
I
then here's
mean,
the big question, and I think you already know what my answer is. But are you seeking out this character in the future?
well, wait, you forgot about which was my favorite of the
Oh, okay.
first
What's your
5. That
favorite of the
question. Yeah.
first 5? Okay.
Okay. I'm only gonna say because it's the fourth story with the sergeant.
Okay.
Which I thought I really thought he was going to be an ongoing character, but
But no,
spoilers,
no,
no,
yeah.
yeah. But I did enjoy that better than the rest,
All
I
right.
guess,
Well,
which wasn't a high bar to meet.
no, I didn't care for any of the stories. So yeah, so
Okay.
I'm not even gonna call out one. The best part was like the Steve Dillon pinup and the photo. So nothing that was actually part of the story.
Right.
So as you can guess, I'm definitely not seeking out this character. And I could imagine somebody even saying, "Hey, there's a really good Tank Girl story," and it's like, I think I'm gonna take a pass because most of the time, if I hear, "Oh, there's a really good story arc," it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be willing to pick that up. But like, I don't think I saw the movie, and I don't think I care to see the movie. So
No, I don't see myself
yeah,
looking it up either.
yeah.
I mean, if it got high ratings
hmm
at the time, I'd say okay, I'll give it a shot. But nah.
Yeah, I had to. Maybe I should jump on and check what its IMDb score is. So let's see here if we can find that really quick.
Well, I know that she was, while you're looking, I know that she was played
Lori
by
Petty
Lori
and
Petty, yeah,
Naomi
which,
Watts is in it as well. So
really, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah. There's a Jet Girl, which I think there's hints at in some of the later the either I think the issues after the first five. I think there's a mention of Jet Girl. I
Yeah.
did read the rest of the trade just to kind of you know make for sure I got through it. Okay, okay, 5.4 on IMDb, which is a higher rating than I'm going to give this comic book if we were to rate it, which I guess we actually aren't. So, but yeah, it would definitely be lower than a 5.4. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, so, all right, no final thoughts. You ready to move on to Escape? All right.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm ready to escape to
Escape
escape.
to escape. All right. So we were looking for a second topic, and Mike kept going on every single month in pre-orders about this Escape series by Rick Remender, and my response was always, I'm just not a big fan of Rick Remender. So he, twisted my arm and made me buy the first two issues. So I did that. So Mike, what kind of intro you got for us here on Escape?
Well, escape, basically the description, and the solicitation description is it's a series written by, well, let me put it this way. The publication information is that it's a 2025 Image Comics series written by Rick Remender and illustrated by Daniel Acuna, one of my favorite artists, seriously. It's a wartime survival thriller set in a brutal anthropomorphic world. It has been compared to Inglorious Bastards with animals, basically. The premise is that it's a story that follows a guy named Milton Shaw, a battle-hardened bomber pilot in a world ruled by a fascist empire. After being shot down behind enemy lines, he wakes up in the ruins of a city he helped destroy. He has less than 24 hours before his own side drops a massive bomb to finish the job, and injured and unarmed, he must escape with the help of a grieving father and his young son. Both are civilians devastated by the same regime that controls the region. So, yeah, it's that's basically what you're dealing with is a war story that is very uh, it evokes feelings of Nazi Germany and the Allies. I didn't read all of the. I mean, I did, but I didn't take notes since then on all of the back matter, which there is quite a bit by Remender that talks about his inspirations for this book. But yeah, it's definitely a war story, but it also focuses on the human. Well, I know it sounds weird saying human when they're anthropomorphic animals, but very humanistic stories.
All right. Well, I think you wrote the synopsis for these, Mike. So I'm just going to let you take
Okay.
over.
All right. Well, issue one opens in the skies above a war-torn anthropomorphic world ruled by a brutal fascist empire. Milton Shaw, a seasoned bomber pilot, leads a mission intended to cripple the enemy by leveling one of their major cities. His flight crew of anthropomorphic animals, which is 4 dogs and a cat, on a bombing mission over fascist Narnia, discusses the morality of their mission. Most of them have no hesitation dropping the big bomb, but Lieutenant Flynn reminds them that an evil leader does not mean the entire civilization is evil. Suddenly, they are struck by a stealth surface-to-air missile, and damaged and down one pilot, they persevere to their target, only to find it's surrounded by 200 civilians to protect it. Milton makes the choice to drop the eggs anyway, arguing that if they don't, twice of their own die later. However, they miss their main target, the Titan cannon. Milton decides to circle back for another run against all odds. Two more of the crew are killed in the dogfight before Milton puts the injured Lieutenant Flynn in a parachute and pushes him out into enemy territory. The cat Magoo is the last loss before Milton also ejects. The bats know that he is there and are searching. And then issue 2, and hiding in enemy territory, Milton contemplates his course of action and the fate of the world for his son if he fails. In a flashback, which by the way takes up most of the issue, to 2 years later, or to 2 years earlier, we meet the pre-war hardened Milton and the woman who will become his bride. A first date leads to a second date, despite her. I thought he was a politician, but maybe he's just a farmer, but they were at a political rally. Despite her father's objections. Nearly polar opposites, they nevertheless fall in love and soon marry and start a family. He reluctantly takes a job at his father-in-law's farm supply business to support his family. A war documentary that he and his wife go to lights a fire of patriotism under Milton, leading to his enlistment. Back in real time, Milton continues his plan to blow up the cannon while the enemy bats search for him. So what are your thoughts about this, Scott? I mean, I'm eager to hear.
All right, so this book, just out of the gate, I'll tell you, has a couple of things going against it for me. One, as I have mentioned 150 times already in this episode, is I'm just not a fan of anthropomorphic comics. I was sitting there thinking, what books do I have in my comic collection that's kind of like the focus of them? And I couldn't come up with a single one that is in my collection, that I thought highly of. So one, that's an immediate turn off for me. It's just not. I'm gonna have a hard time enjoying this story. All right, then we've got I've got some baggage, I guess, with just not having enjoyed a lot of Rick Remender stuff in the past. So, but okay, he's not Garth Ennis when it comes to war stories, but maybe this would be something a little bit better. And the other thing is like there is nothing that this couldn't have just been another slightly modified World War II story, and it didn't have to have the anthropomorphized animals in it. It could have just been regular guys. And I don't know that I wouldn't have enjoyed it more if it had been just regular guys in a slightly, Elseworld style World War II story. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. it just didn't hit. It just didn't hit for me. And I guess it's probably just too much pre notions going into the story that it's like I'm probably not going to like this. But you've spoke so highly of it. It's like, well, I should definitely at least give it a shot.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it was nothing I was expecting. I had the first few issues in my stack to read for months before I started reading them. I just happened to go on vacation in May and took them with me, and I started reading them like, well, this is pretty darn good. And what you're saying, I understand it. Yeah, it could very easily be humans that play the role. It very easily could be an actual World War II story that played, that the setting would be in. However, what I see is an opportunity for Remender and Acuna, in their own ways, bring the realities of war to in a very modern sensibility, and that we are really fortunate in this generation to not have had to endure what our ancestors did in the 30s and 40s. And I have a certain I like genealogy. I like doing research. I have a grandfather that was killed in France in World War II. I have my other grandfather served in the Pacific Theater, and I just see this as a way to not. It makes it different. Yeah, you could definitely do, not to be like doing a debate with you at all.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just saying what appealed to me. It just felt something. It felt a little fresher, being not a something from a Sergeant Rock book or a Garth Ennis book or something like that. It's now. Why they use these anthropomorphic animals, that's a good question, but I just so happen to find in the back page of this first issue a paragraph that in Rick Remender's description of what he's talking about here. He has one paragraph and he says, "But you might ask, why anthropomorphic animals? Years ago, I read an article about how humans feel greater empathy toward animals than other humans. It struck me that in many stories I was writing, using anthropomorphic animals could evoke deeper sympathy and reduce bias, akin to the impact of Watership Down." I haven't read or seen the movie Watership Down. I'm not sure if it is a movie. Um, to offer a clearer commentary on man's inhumanity to man by stepping slightly away from our reality. So that's why he did this. Now, there's I think it's in the second issue with that flashback where he meets his wife to be, and it's like the moment that they look into each other's eyes and kiss. And there's something about seeing these two dogs kiss. I was like, what the hell? Or what the heck? I'm like, okay, that just looks a little weird. But otherwise, it was fine using the animals. It's I would encourage anyone to get to try the first couple issues, but really it's you go. This is an ongoing series. This isn't a mini series or a maxi series. It's going to go on, and I think issue 7 is waiting for me at my local comic shop. But I've read a lot of Rick Remender stuff. No, I shouldn't say a lot. I've read 2 main series of his: Low, which I did not favor too well, and the Seven to Eternity, which was a science fiction fantasy, space type story, which was excellent and had great art to go with it as well. But no, I can really respect Remender's abilities in this. It's maybe not the set, or maybe not everything's in this is for everybody, but the talent that's going into this is, to me, way better than most. And then Acuna, I remember Acuna in the 2000s. I seen him in he did, I think, some Freedom Fighters. He had this really painterly style, and he shows it here. It's, yeah, the storytelling, the sequence art is fantastic. And that's not easy to do unless you do some research when you're doing dog fights and things like that. So I think it's just well done. That's
the artwork
that's kind of like my final word.
Incredible. No, the artwork is
Yeah.
really, really good. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it fits the story extremely well. And then just to, since you mentioned it, Watership Down started as a book, published in 1972, and then it was adapted to a couple of animated movies. And apparently, 8 years ago, Netflix did a version of Watership Down as well. So,
Oh, really?
now I don't remember that ever popping up in my suggested for you on Netflix, but it is out there.
Yeah. Well, I need to try that. But to the point that he made about animals being more, humans being more empathetic to animals, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, it's just, it just seems it's interesting why that is. We're actually worse to each other than we are to animals many times. But you think of Art Spiegelman and Mouse.
Right.
I mean, he put his characters into anthropomorphic animal form, maybe or for the reason to get the same effect. I'm not sure. So,
Of course, in Mouse, now, I have not read Mouse, and it's probably something that I should read. But it was very much the animal type determined ethnicity,
yes.
whereas we don't have that so much here in Escape.
Well,
I mean, you got dogs and
yeah.
cats living together.
On the Allied side, yeah, literally living. On the Allied side, you're right. But on the analog to the Nazi Germany, they're all bats. So I haven't seen anything other than bats on that side of the equation. I don't know if the Italian analog, is some other animal or what will come out of this, but it'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, and
I mean, yeah,
I had forgotten that they were bats because they've got arms and legs. They don't have wings. as far as art
Yeah.
goes, they really don't look much different than dogs.
No, they've got those big ears, and I
Got the
mean,
pointy ears. Yeah,
yeah,
but again, yeah.
and yeah, they just mention it in there. Now I'm looking at the flight crew with Milton. Milton, I'm going to guess is a boxer. I found myself trying to figure out what breed
Right.
of dog these guys were. You had Milton that was a boxer. You had Lieutenant Flynn was probably a Doberman. You had Billy, I think, might have been they called him Bulldog at some point. He must have been a Bulldog. You had another one named, I forget his name. He also looked like a Doberman or something with a narrow snout. And then you had Magoo, the cat, which cracked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's some violence in this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, when you're talking military or war violence, it's way more realistic than what you see in, say, Tank Girl.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, oh my gosh, yeah, that kind of stuff happened, and so I think it had some poignancy, especially in this second issue. You start, there's a lot of self-reflection by Milton as he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. Does he try to continue the mission? He's and if he does, why? Will anyone remember him for his sacrifice? Will his son know? No, his son won't know. I'll be just his old man that died in the war. It's a lot of that's the kind of writing that got to me. I'm like, I dug that, and so yeah, that's why I think this is something that's sort of transcends your regular war book.
Yeah, and I'm still of a mind that I think it would have been better if they had if they had just had it done with
Yeah.
people as opposed. But I guess I guess part of it is that I, I don't know. It's like I'm sitting here looking at bats, and it's like we're actually thinking about putting a bat box in our backyard because they control mosquitoes. So it's like most
Yeah.
people, it's like I don't know. Should they have chosen snakes instead of bats if they really want them to be the bad guys?
Oh,
And then
sure.
people make the same argument
Yeah.
about snakes. It's like, oh, well, snakes will eat all the pests out of your garden and all that.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so I don't buy into the. I mean, anybody who is more empathetic to an animal than they are to a person has a problem, So
Yeah.
I guess the difference is that there are some people you don't have a lot of empathy for because you've seen what they've done, whereas an animal is typically considered, generally innocent.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
but yeah, it's I don't know. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just treading over the same ground on this. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about why pick bats. Why do bats have to be the bad
Exactly,
guys?
yeah.
I mean, I know at least in Mouse, you had the cats and the mice. That made sense.
Yeah.
Mice and cats.
Oh,
But this is a little different. But who knows? I don't know. It wasn't really a distraction for me. But yeah,
It wasn't
that's-
too much for me either, but it's just the whole anthropomorphic thing was the distraction, not the choice
Yeah.
of the animals. But
yeah, yeah.
all right, well, you got anything else you want to say? Do you want to grade this?
Yeah, I'd love to grade
Okay.
it. I mean, I'm going to give it. I don't have my chart in front of me, but I'm going to give it a good. At this point, I've read 6 issues. I'm going to grade it on not on those in total 6, not just the first
Right.
2, but I'm going to give it a good 9.
Ooh, wow.
9.0.
So that's a
Yeah.
very fine near mint.
Yeah, it is to me. I
Okay.
just think, and I don't have any like. I don't have what's going on with you to like turn you off on it. So yeah, I think that the writing and art speak for itself.
Okay, all right. Just off the top of my head, I guess I'll go like VG 4.0. It's just like I'm not continuing on in this story. The artwork is great, but if I just wanted to look at pretty pictures, I don't need the word balloons. I can just find artwork and flip through somebody's website, and find their artwork.
Yeah.
So it's just and I think I'm just not a big war comic guy. I was wondering, well, will I be a war comic guy after reading this? It's like had this been an anthropomorphic Western, would I have been more interested in it? And
Yeah, I mean it's I was as surprised as anyone how much I liked it. So it's not like I was like, I got to find something to say, this is really good, we should read it together. It just took me by surprise, and I brought it up a couple times, and we just decided to, you know, check it out
You
together.
twisted my arm and made me
Yeah,
read it. So
yeah. Now you suffered through 2 issues. You know, no more though. You can
I
stop
will
now.
stop now. So all right. Well, I guess we should have time for a CLZ shake. So
I think we have plenty of time.
all right. So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go.
Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, you can't see it because of my thing. Oh, I don't want to talk about a Star Wars issue. Here we go. All right. So I cheated. I shook twice. So Captain America, issue number 110. So this has got a lot of things going for it. One, you have Jim Steranko art, which is one of the keys, right, of it. But it actually is a key issue because it introduces Madam Hydra to the Cap universe. So
Oh,
yeah, so there you go. So first appearance of Madam Hydra, aka Viper. But it's it's got a crossover with the Incredible Hulk. So it's got kind of a pretty cool cover of Cap and Bucky and the Incredible Hulk. But the reason why it's in my
yeah.
collection is because of the first appearance of Madam Hydra. So
Okay. Looks like a good one to have.
all
Well, let me
right,
shake
all
away.
right.
Oh, let's see here. Well, Blue Beetle
Okay.
in the Rebirth era. That's the first issue.
Is it the Jaime Reyes or
Scott.
the so or
It's
is it back to
yes.
okay?
It's Jaime Reyes here. Um, it's well. Let's see. Yeah, it came out in 2016. It's got that Rebirth branding on
Okay.
it. It's I'm sure I read it, but it's there's nothing about it that really stuck. It was written by I think the creator of Jaime Reyes, Keith Giffen,
Okay.
and the art was by Scott Collins. And it's just Jaime Reyes was he, he's way different than the Ted Cord Blue Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
Has a different power set. Um, I don't remember how long this run went, but I don't think I collected it for very long before I gave up on it.
Now, was
So
that the run where Ted Cord is kind of the mentor, or was that the New 52 run where Ted Cord was kind of the mentor of Jaime Reyes?
I wish I could tell you. I think that was the
New 50. As I was
no.
saying it, I started feeling like it was the New 52 run.
It almost seems like it was, but I can't say for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I've only got what looks like I got issue 1, 2, 9, and 11 of that run. So I don't know why I still have it in my collection. It should be gone by now.
Well, some things are just hard to let go. I'm the same way. Well, I know why a lot of books are still in my collection is because I haven't taken the time. I got other comics I need to be sorting through instead of going through my collection and pulling comics out. Like I'm
Yeah,
going to pull out the entire New 52. I was one of those guys who bought all the New 52 first issues.
yeah.
Every single one of those is going away. There's not.
To me, the best part of the new 52 was Rebirth.
Yeah.
The end of it. When they brought Wally West back, and that Rebirth special #1, that's one of my favorite books of all time. That was so great. Unfortunately, they never
Yeah.
really followed
No,
up
they did not
on
stick the
any of
landing
those
on that
storylines.
rebirth.
No,
That rebirth issue.
no, no. Ugh, so aggravating.
So, all right, Mike. So, what do we have coming up on episode 238 of the Campus Comics Cast?
Well, regular listeners are going to know that we normally alternate an episode like this with an episode where we check out all of the new releases in the catalogs, whether you call it previews, whether you call it pre-orders, whether you call it whether you look at next phase or panels. We're going to go through all of it, and we'll tell you what has caught our attention and what we may or may not buy, but just stuff that we're considering, and maybe you will too.
All right, and Mike, if somebody wanted to reach out to you besides podcasts at birdcomics.com, how might they do that?
They got a couple different ways. Mike at comicshoproadshow.com or on our Campus Comics Cast Facebook page.
And I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, burgcomics.com, where there are links to my social media pages and eBay store. And we'll be back soon with pre-orders.
$237. Wow. Yeah, how about that? How does that happen? I don't know. Stubbornness. Refuse to give up the ghost. Mm-hmm.